on this particular ranch, we've got about 530 planted acres of tree fruit, and about 80% of that is either certified organic by WSDA or it's in the transition period, the 2-year transition period to become certified. As he's gone from the old school style of freestanding large tree, low density, to the smaller tree, highly dwarfing, precocious, supported on a trellis system, he's been doing several things. One is he's been shifting varieties, and two, he's been shifting from a conventional system to an organic system. We can raise fruit that competes in terms of yield, competes in terms of quality, but gets a premium price because it's certified WSDA organic. It's about 4 air miles to the next apple tree. So having that isolation when you have an organic system really makes it easier to control your pests and not have to use materials that might be damaging to them. And so we can really work on cultivating our predators. But that isolation factor is unique, and it's probably the single largest factor if you're considering a shift to organic. Because if you have people all around you and you're trying to be organic, only one of them has to make a mistake and you have a problem that you probably can't control. Basically about half the plantable acres are planted, okay? So on this particular farm, with the deep wells, water rights that exist here, granted by the senior water rights by the State Department of Ecology, there's an opportunity to complete the development. In other words, there are a lot of unplanted acres that are highly suited. You can go either down the wine grape path, or you can go down the path of just expanding your tree fruit acreage with more of the late cherries or the galas, the honeycrisp, the Fuji. On the circle pivot ground, which is farmed in field and row crops, we grow Timothy hay, which is primarily for export, alfalfa hay. We also grow a mixed hay. We grow corn for grain, corn for silage. We grow potatoes, which is a great cash crop, onions, another sort of cash crop, and you know, we rotate wheat and other field crops sort of in the mix, depending on what's happening with the commodity markets. There's been just a really tremendous expansion in hop acreage in the last 5 years. We've increased about 15,000 acres, which is a lot. Washington grows almost 85% of the nation's hops, and this land is highly suited if you wanted to grow hops. Rental for hop ground right now is at an all-time high. It almost beats rental for any of the other crops that we grow. Blueberry is another permanent crop. We're primarily growing we call freezer berries, so these are not hand-picked for fresh market. These are machine-picked, usually on a double pass system. Traditionally, Western Washington, Western Oregon have produced them. They've done enough work now, they know that the yields are 20% higher on average in Eastern Washington compared to Western Oregon, Western Washington. So that's another really good viable crop. It gives you the opportunity to sort of move in any direction based on where the market is going. And you can have diversity within your plantings. You add blueberries, you add wine grapes, you add hops, then you're diversifying your economic portfolio. Row crop ground really doesn't need any sort of work, okay? It's down low. I mentioned before we're up high on the bench here, so we have air drainage. It's down low. It's not suited for fruit production, but it's super for the regular field and row crops. And it's got relatively new Valmont circles on it. They're serviced by deep wells, so you're not dependent on the ditch rider turning out water for you. If I were to take and envision a development plan, I would do some continued orchard development in the higher value varieties. I'd add the blueberries, I'd add some hops, and I certainly would plant 4 or 5 varieties of wine grapes, and that would add another dimension, another bit of diversity. Then you're diversifying your economic portfolio, which in agriculture is really important.